The tools that a hunter uses to bring down the beasts in Monster Hunter World are vast and varied, but none are more important than the weapons they use. I'm Darcblade, and in this series of the Monster Hunter World weapons, we're going to be taking a look at the various weapons and tools of the game. In this episode, we're going to be bringing you an overview guide of the heavy bowgun. Similar in a lot of ways to the light bowgun, the heavy bowgun sacrifices mobility in favour of less recoil and a larger magazine size. Despite being heavy and cumbersome though, the weapon is powerful, able to deal damage from distance. Being at a distance from a monster and still being able to deal damage has a lot of benefits in this game. On top of that as well, the weapon has numerous ammo types available to it, making it highly adaptable to what a hunting party needs to bring down a monster. But anyway, let's move on to the basics of the weapon. Now, for the purpose of this video, I will be quoting PlayStation controls, although you can look down in the description below for translated controls or work them out yourself depending on what system you are using. The heavy bowgun, like its sister weapon, the light bowgun, only has a few moves available to it. It has L2, which allows your hunter to aim the weapon, and then R2 to fire the weapon. Anyone who has played any third-person shooters before will be familiar with these controls. Next is circle, which loads the special ammunition depending on what type of heavy bowgun you are using. You then have triangle to reload the weapon. The next basic control is the select ammo. This is done by holding L1 and then pressing either X or triangle. Triangle to go up, X to go down. And finally triangle and circle to perform a melee attack, although this attack in itself isn't the most useful. But anyway, let's move away from the basics and talk about the unique functions of the heavy bowgun. Now, there are two types of heavy bowguns, and each come with a special ammunition type. We'll talk about them each in turn. The first type is the Wyvern Snipe. This is an ammo type that when you load it via pressing circle will cause your hunter to lay down in the floor like a sniper to take a very powerful shot against monsters. This shot not only deals high explosive damage, it also can pierce through monsters, allowing for multiple hits. However, you really only get one shot with this before you have to wait until the indicator in the bottom right hand corner of your screen above your ammo types recharges over time. Once it's full up again, you'll be able to take another Wyvern Snipe. The other special ammunition type available to the other type of heavy bowgun is the Wyvern Heart. This again has a meter above your ammo type in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, but instead of allowing only one single shot, this works more like a light machine gun. So once loaded into your gun via circle, the individual bullets shot from this don't do much damage at all. However, you have a huge magazine size, and if you can assault a monster with sustained fire without being interrupted, then the damage really racks up. Now, the bad thing about the special rounds is you can only have one. You either have the Wyvern Snipe or the Wyvern Heart. You can't have both. You also have to get used to being patient whilst this special ammunition comes off cooldown. Now, the next unique function is the multiple reload. Now, when you're fighting a monster, you can select between different ammo types. You don't actually have to stop and reload. You can say use all your spread ammo and then switch to your normal ammo and then switch to your piercing ammo without having to reload in between. But should there be a natural pause in the fight against the monster, instead of reloading just one at a time manually, you can instead hold triangle down, and this will reload every single ammo type you have used in order without you having to manually select them. This comes in very useful for when there is some downtime in a hunt. The next unique function are the attachments available to the heavy bowguns. Basically, with this weapon you can attach various mods to enhance it in various ways. During the beta, one of the heavy bowguns was equipped with a shield that allowed a user to block attacks. However, with the full release, we're bound to get more attachments available to our heavy bowguns. Of course, I'll go into these in more detail once the full game is released. And the final unique function available to the heavy bowgun that you should be aware of is the range indicator. When you're fighting a monster and you're aiming down sights with L2, you'll notice that sometimes in your crosshair it will say out of range. This means that your attack won't actually damage the monster, so you need to reposition yourself so this is no longer the case. Now, you have to be aware, depending on what ammo type you are using as well, the range can increase or decrease, so it's just good practice to keep an eye on it. But anyway, let's move away from the unique functions. Now, normally I would talk about the basic combos available to the weapon during this section of the video, but alas, the heavy bowgun has no combos. Instead though, I will talk about the ammo types. The heavy bowguns have a lot of ammunition types available to them. This includes normal ammo, which is pretty straightforward. There's pierce ammo, that can pierce through a monster, hitting it multiple times. Spread ammo, that works akin to a shotgun blast. Sticky ammo, that attaches an explosive charge to the target which then explodes. Next is cluster ammo, which is more akin to a cluster bomb. Once fired in the air, it will rain down 3 explosive shells on the indicated target. Next is poison ammo, that can poison an enemy. Paralysis ammo, that could potentially paralyze an enemy, sleep ammo that can induce sleep upon a monster, exhaust ammo that drains a target of its stamina, flaming ammo that does fire damage, water ammo that does water damage, freeze ammo that does ice damage, thunder ammo that does thunder damage, and dragon ammo that does dragon damage. Next is slicing ammo, which attaches a small bomb to a monster's limb or tail, which causes high amounts of slicing damage, great for severing limbs and monster parts. And next is the wyvern ammo. This is a very short range ammo that does high amounts of damage. However, it does come with a very long fire animation, so it can be interrupted. The next few ammo types are more utility ammo types. For example, there's demon ammo, which if shot at an ally can temporarily increase their attack, very similar to demon powder. There's armor ammo that increases a ally's defenses, similar to hard shell powder. And then finally there's tranquilizer ammo that is used to capture monsters. It works very similar to the tranquilizer bombs. Now, as you can see, there is a lot of ammo types available to this weapon. However, when it comes to the full game, expect to be farming materials so you can have as much ammo types available to you on your hunts. Unlike in the beta, you won't have a trunk full of ammunition ready to go, and it's something you need to be aware of if you're favouring this weapon. But anyway, let's move on to talk about the pros and cons of the weapon. The first pro of this weapon would be that it's a ranged weapon, thus normally keeping you away from a monster's fury. Okay, a monster still will target you at times, but you do have options as long as you keep an eye on a monster's movement. On top of that, the heavy bowgun out of all the ranged weapons does deal the most damage, but this is all dependent on what ammo type you are using. The next major pro for the weapon is its versatility, but this is again thanks to the multiple types of ammunition this weapon can hold. As long as you're aware of the weaknesses of the monster you're taking on, this will allow you to deal high damage or inflict various status ailments on your foe. However, the biggest con for the weapon is, unfortunately, it reduces your movement speed quite a bit. Unlike the other ranged weapons in the game, the heavy bowgun, as its name says, is heavy, it's cumbersome, and it will restrict your movement. So if a monster is looking like it's going to come your way, then it might be best to preemptively put your weapon away and start moving. Now overall, the heavy bowgun is the hard-hitting member of the ranged weapon family. If you like your ranged weapons to do a lot of damage, then this is one to consider. Yes, okay, you do sacrifice a bit in terms of movement speed, but in return you do receive the ability to deal out a lot of damage and inflict a monster with various debuffs that not only help you but your entire hunting party. On top of that, being able to shoot your allies with demon or armor ammo, as well as heal them with recover ammo, means that you can perform a pseudo support role. Now, while I did say the movement speed is a little bit of an issue with this weapon, you can alleviate this issue slightly with various attachments the weapon can use. For example, in the beta we had access to the shield. Another drawback of the weapon is that during the main game you will need to farm for the various ammo types the weapon uses, and if you want the weapon to be at its best you need to keep these stocked up. But should you do that, then you'll find a very versatile, high damage ranged weapon. Now remember that this first series of videos are overviews taken from the beta of Monster Hunter World. Once the game is fully released, expect much more in-depth videos for the different weapons and tools of the game. And until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you an overview guide of the heavy bowgun in Monster Hunter World. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.